Early entries. I didn't really find scary or Halloween themed stuff. I did try to keep it all together. It has to do with animals. Of course, we all know that monsters do not exist. Hopefully we all know that. And they're all just in our books and in our heads. And beasts are derivatives of animals. So we're going to be looking at animals in today's topics. The first one of the early entries was pony. Don't kill the cat! Ha! What's a pony? I know it's kind of the other end of the spectrum. Cute isn't really spooky. It's kind of the opposite, but that's what we're starting with. So, okay, let's go. A pony is a type of small horse. That's the breed. Let's read it. Equus ferus caballos. Depending on the context, a pony may be a horse that is under a given approximate or exact height at the withers, the ridge between the shoulder blades of an animal, typically quadruped. In many species, this ridge is the tallest point of the body. In horses and dogs, it is the standard piece to measure the animal's height. In contrast to cattle, are often measured to the top of the hips. Or a small horse with a specific conformation and temperament. Equine conformation evaluates a horse's bone structure, musculature, and its body proportions in relation to each other. Undesirable conformation can limit the ability to perform a specific task. Although there are several faults with universal disadvantages, a horse's conformation is usually judged by what its intended use may be. Thus, form to function is one of the first set of traits considered in judging conformation. A horse with poor form for a Grand Prix show jumper could have excellent conformation for a world champion cutting horse, or to be a champion draft horse. Every horse has good and bad points of its conformation, and many horses, including Olympic caliber horses, excel even with conformation faults. So apparently each part of the horse could have a different characteristic that could make it more appropriate in a specific type of sport or use case. Compared to a larger horse, a pony may have a thicker coat, mane, and tail with proportionally shorter legs, a wider barrel, heavier bone, a thicker neck, a shorter, broader head. The word pony derives from the Old French poulonet, meaning foal, a young, immature horse. Which is kind of silly, because it sounds like you're making fun of the horse. I mean, you could see, like, in comparison to a regular stallion type wild horse or the domesticated horse. Stalinism. Stallion. Mustang. Let's just take a look. The legs are apparently thinner and shorter. Well, just a little bit. The neck is a bit stiffer and closer to the body. Why the long face? The face, the head, skull looks smaller in comparison to the body, and so on. Like, the physical differences are obvious and apparent. Just by the shape of it, you can tell that it's a pony. It's just a small horse. A pony foal. Ponies are considered small horses, and ponies were traditionally used for riding, driving as pack beasts. During the Industrial Revolution, particularly in Great Britain, many were used as pit ponies, hauling loads of coal in the mines. In the modern era, they may be kept as children's mounts, for recreational or competitive riding or driving, or for cultural or conservation reasons. Ponies are generally considered intelligent and friendly. They are also sometimes described as stubborn or cunning. Properly trained ponies are appropriate mounts for children who are learning to ride. Because of their smaller size, perhaps not as wild demeanor as a full-grown horse might have. I gotta figure out how to get rid of these spam bots here. I don't know if there are filters. I had this last time I streamed. Larger ponies can be ridden by adults as ponies are usually strong for their size. In modern use, some organizations may define a pony as a mature horse below a certain height at the withers. This may vary from about 142, what's 14H? Hand. That's probably an English thing. Australia, Canada, Ireland, United Kingdom. I guess in the States too. Yeah, of course, in the States they're using the imperial system. Well, I guess it makes sense because you're using the parts of the hand to measure as a measuring unit, and say you're a typical person with typical measurements, you'll be able to understand. We have these measurements here too. I mean, in olden times they were used. To nearly 150. 14.3. Hands means hands 3 inches. Some people classify an animal as either a horse or pony from its pedigree and phenotype, no matter its height. A full-sized horse may sometimes be called a pony as a term of endearment. Yeah, I think I've heard that. Pure breed. What was that? Pedigree. And phenotype is a set of observable characteristics or traits in an organism. So they call it a pony even if it just looks like a pony. Even if it doesn't have anything to do with a pony. Definition. Yes, exact measurements here. 150. Without shoes. They call them shoes? Horseshoes? Yeah, I guess you could call them like plain shoes. History. Okay, this is the more interesting part. Ponies originally developed as a land race. What is this? Oh, adapted. Locally adapted, domesticated, traditional variety species. Okay. Developed as a land race, adapted to a harsh natural environment, and were considered part of the draft subtype typical of Northern Europe. So they were used to pull plows and such. At one time, it was hypothesized that they may have descended from a wild draft subspecies of Equus ferus. Studies of mitochondrial DNA, which is passed on through the female line, indicate that a large number of wild mares have contributed to modern domestic breeds. In contrast, studies of Y DNA passed down the male line suggest that there was possibly just one single male ancestor of all domesticated breeds. Domestication of the horse probably first occurred in the Eurasian steppes, with horses between 52 inches, the rational measurement, 132 centimeters, between 132 and 142. And as horse domestication spread, the male descendants of the original stallion went on to be bred with local wild mares. Domesticated ponies of all breeds originally developed mainly from the need for a working animal that could fulfill specific local draft and transportation needs while surviving in harsh environments. They're mentioning it twice till now. This would mean that the regular horse isn't as durable in harsher environments, might get sick. The usefulness of the pony was noted by farmers who observed that a pony could outperform a draft horse on small farms. It's closer to the ground. It's stronger, maybe. By the 20th century, many pony breeds had Arabian and other blood added to make a more refined pony suitable for riding. Uses: working animals, pack animals, horse-drawn vehicles, driving, riding. There is no direct correlation between a horse's size and its inherent athletic ability. Of course, there are regional differences within breeds. Characteristics: strong hooves, heavier hair coat. Draft-type ponies are able to pull loads significantly greater than their own weight, with larger ponies capable of pulling loads comparable to those pulled by full-size draft horses, and even very small ponies are able to pull as much as 450% of their own weight. Easy keepers, requiring half the hay for their weight as a horse, and often not needing grain at all, so they're easier to take care of. More vulnerable to laminitis and Cushing's. Affects the feet of ungulates and is found mostly in horses and cattle. Foot tiredness, progressing to inability to walk. increased digital pulses, and increased temperature in the hooves. Severe case inflammation. Severe cases with outwardly visible clinical signs are known by the colloquial term founder, and progression disease lead to the coffin bone through the sole of the hoof being unable to stand up, requiring euthanasia. Oh, that's sad. Why is this not in English? Unlike the human canine forms of Cushing's disease, which most commonly affect the pars distalis region, the pituitary gland, Cushing's disease is a result of hyperlepsia or adenoma formation in the pars intermedia. This adenoma then secretes excessive amounts of normal products, leading to clinical signs. They also have problems with hyperlemia. Normally high levels of any or all lipids, fats, or lipoproteins in the blood. The differences of opinion result from an individual pony's degree of proper training. Ponies trained by inexperienced individuals or only ridden by beginners can turn out to be spoiled because the riders typically lack the experience base to correct bad habits. Similar or similarly named horses. I'm sure that the domesticated horse has also been selectively bred to fulfill certain human needs.